at DeWittDailyNews.com. Let me, Dr. Bill Byers, show you some simple, under-the-radar ways to improve and take control of your health.
This is Brett Zerfowski with Central Cremation Center. We have expanded our business and now offer private pet cremations to memorialize your loyal companion. Find out more about us by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
If you're looking for a local, full or part-time job in Central Illinois, there's an easy place to go to find current job openings. It's IllinoisJobPost.com. That's IllinoisJobPost.com. You'll find jobs available near you. And the best part is that it's free for candidates to access 24/7. If you want a local job, when you don't have to spend a lot of money on gas to get to, then you want access to IllinoisJobPost.com to check out current local job openings. That web address again is IllinoisJobPost.com. Another service from your friends at the Miller Media Group.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It is brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in the studio today is Henry Kraft with the University of Illinois Extension. Good morning, Henry. Good to see you again.
How you doing, Seth? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. Last time I chatted with you, it was hot and sunny at the fair. It's nice to be in September and a little cooler, although I think today's going to be awfully warm and feel like fair weather again.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But anyways, we appreciate you making time for us and coming out to tell us about what you do with Extension, particularly in the schools. Tell me about your role with Extension, Henry.
Yeah. So, Seth, I'm a 4-H youth development educator with DeWitt, Macon, and Pekin counties. So I work a lot with students, teachers in the classroom in Clinton, Monticello, Decatur, but also outside of that. So a lot of schools like D-Lane Weldon or Cerro Gordo, Bement, things like that. So, yeah.
Sure. So tell me about getting Extension into the schools and getting in with the schools, if you will. What does that look like for you in your time in Extension, and how is that process going?
Yeah. So this month is my 1-year anniversary with 4-H, so I'm pretty excited. But working with the schools has been really gratifying. So you get to go in and take hands-on experiences to students that may or may not have experience with 4-H. And so one of the cool things that I get to take into the schools right now, which one of my major programs is called Illinois Food Challenge. Mm-hmm. And so we get to go in largely in FCS classrooms. So right now we're in Clinton, Blue Ridge schools, Monticello, Bement, Cerro Gordo, and this program really focuses on nutrition and wellness, so around My Plate. So I don't know if you know this or not, but back in the day when we were in school, the food pyramid was a big thing, right? Mm-hmm. Well, they transitioned that to what is called My Plate. Mm-hmm. And so kids now know My Plate as the nutritional amounts value. So we really focus on that, but also with that learning piece, we culminate in a hands-on food challenge like the show on Food Network called Chopped. And so today even I get to go and talk with a classroom of students at Blue Ridge about flavor profiles. And so it's really focused on food science and talking about how foods interact in our mouth, how they interact with each other, and really pointing out what flavors are out there. So it's really cool. So we get to provide them with food and supplies to go and make their own dish. So there's a lot of freedom. So we front end with the teaching, and then they get to explore. And that's the cool thing about 4-H.
Yeah, for sure. Now, is it, if I'm not mistaken, it's not necessarily, everything isn't necessarily geared around 4-H. It's really just about getting kids involved. Am I right? Or on the right track there?
Yeah. So we have 4-H is super robust, right? So there's a lot to it. So we've got our clubs that are really impacting kids on a local level in that traditional 4-H format. So part of my role is going into the schools and exposing kids to 4-H concepts and ideas outside of what they would normally think of as 4-H. And so when I go into the classroom, all these kids don't have to be signed up for 4-H, but they get to have a 4-H experience in the class. And that's really the cool part about what I get to do, coming alongside teachers and augmenting their learning, because man, I don't know if you've talked to many teachers lately, but that is a hard gig, and they get to do a lot of the hard stuff, and they don't always get to do the fun stuff. So when 4-H can come in and augment what they're doing and provide some of that fun stuff, that's where I get a lot of joy to go in the classroom with kids.
Is everything for you centered around food, nutrition, those types of things, or do you do other programs?
Yeah, so we've got 4-H is a wide breadth of topics and information. So my program and focus a lot with Food Challenge and that nutrition piece. But we also do a program called Drones in Agriculture, where we're working with local classrooms to kind of expose them to career pathways in modern technology within the agricultural field. And so we've got a lot of great resources for modern agriculture where they can utilize drones. I don't know if you've seen much of the drones lately, but you've got drones that are super tiny all the way up to these massive sprayers that you see flying around all the time. And they're just hard to wrap your head around. But the kids learning what they can do with drones in a traditional agriculture format. So
before we get into too much more on the things you're doing in the schools, what is a typical avenue into the classroom for you? Is it a recommendation that comes your way? Are you reaching out to teachers in all these buildings you're talking about? What's a typical route to the classroom for you?
Yeah, you know, it can be an adventure trying to find that right person that fits, because a lot of our programs are very specific to a certain type of classroom, a certain teacher. But yeah, I mean, reaching out to principals, superintendents, and then also there are teachers that hear about our programs from peers and say, "Oh man, I really want Henry, Kendra, Rachel, Eric in my classroom." So they reach out to us in our local offices and inquire about our various programs.
You know, I think, Henry, this is just kind of an outsider's perspective, and I'll let you kind of weigh in on you know where I'm at in this, and I'm sure a lot of people are thinking this is, you know, gosh, there's so much demand on teachers, you know, to get a lot of curriculum in and lessons in, and you know, there's just so much demanded of them in a short amount of time, you know, relatively speaking, in a school day. Where do they have the time to fit what you're doing into their curriculum and the things you're doing in the classroom?
Yeah, you know, one of the things that I try to do when I work with teachers is really find out what they're teaching and what their needs are. And so that we don't just do canned programs, we also work with teachers to create things that meet their needs. And so I always say this to any teacher that I work with is 4-H doesn't want to be an extra thing or burden. We want to be an augment and a boon and an excitement in your classroom. So that's really the benefit to the teachers, is to really get the kids excited about what they're learning. So there's also a program that one of my coworkers, Rachel Davidson, is doing in Pekin County called Eating Through History. And she goes into classrooms and she works with history teachers to bring history to life. And so she cooks dishes from eras. She cooks dishes from geographic locations, and she brings them in and shares them with the kids. And
That's
so
cool.
as they're learning about the cultures and times that they're in history, they're also getting to taste that history.
Sure.
And so that's a really cool thing that we get to do and walk alongside those teachers to fit our curriculum to what is going to benefit them, not an extra thing to fit in, like you said.
I understand that for sure. Well said. Henry Kraft, U of I Extension and 4-H educator, our guest in studio here for this morning. So what is, when you make contact with a teacher and they say, I need, you know, I need, you know, an expansion on whatever curriculum or whatever lesson we're doing, or, you know, we could use a real life application for this particular subject matter that we're talking about. At that point, where do you turn, you know, what do you do, and how do you, you know, help that teacher in, okay, this is what 4-H can do, or this is what I can do, this is what we can offer? What does that look like?
Yeah. So we've got a lot of, I'm going to say a stratosphere, a hierarchy of things that are already ready-made. So our state office supplies a lot of programs that are research-based and put together. And so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go look and see with our state specialist at our state 4-H office, hey, is there anything that we've already got that will fit into this? And maybe I can make some tweaks. 4-H also is a national program. And so there are resources from all over the place. So I'm going to look and see like, okay, how can we tailor it to what this teacher needs with a base? And so I'm going to look for those resources. And then a lot of what I do is write programs. And so as a trained educator, I go in and I say, okay, this is what you need. This is what you want. So let's take these resources and create something that's going to fit like a puzzle piece.
I'll tell you what, Henry, on that note, let's go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, we'll talk about some of those programs because you've got some really neat stuff that you're developing and that you're doing at the same time. What's the best way if there's an educator, maybe they're not listening right now, but they go back, they listen to the stream or something of that nature. What's the best way to get a hold of you to talk about how you can enhance what they're doing in their classrooms? How do they do that?
Yeah, they can reach out to us at our at my email. You can reach out to me at hcraft, that's HCRAF as in Frank, T as in Tom, at illinois.edu, and I'm happy to reach out and connect that way.
Henry Kraft, U of I Extension, our guest in studio today. We'll talk more with Henry coming up on The Morning Show.
WHOW.
We are closing out the new 2024s here in downtown Clinton. This is Will Daniels, General Manager here at Baum Chrysler Jeep. We need to move out our 2024s. In stock now are the Jeep Compass, Grand Cherokees, and our Jeep Wranglers in 4 doors and 2 doors. We also have the full-size, comfortable Jeep Wagoneer and a great selection of the Chrysler Pacificas to move you and your family in style. Closeout time now at BaumChryslerJeep.com, your downtown dealer in Clinton.
The Chevrolet Silverado is ready to work for you. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. Yes, we've got a great selection of 24 Silverados in regular cab, double cab, and crew cab models with gas or diesel engines. Our 3-liter Duramax diesel gets fantastic fuel mileage, 20 city, 30 highway, while working for you. We have 6.6 engines in gas or diesel for our HD Silverados as well. Come see our inventory today at BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
Tune in to this RFD Radio Network affiliate Saturday mornings from 9:06 until 9:30 when we present the RFD Trading Post to advertise your farm-related items to buy, sell, trade, or give away. Call the toll-free number we give during the show to get your farm-related items advertised across the state and listed on RFDTradingPost.com. And find instructions on getting your farm-related items read on the show in our mailbag segment for 30 days for just $20. The RFD Trading Post, Saturday mornings from 9:06 till 9:30 on this RFD Radio Network station.
Rehab, recover, and return home. When you or your loved one use the Bounce Back program at Liberty Village of Clinton. When you're not ready for a nursing home, their Bounce Back program is the answer. Click their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Simply the finest.
Healthy children make better students and stronger athletes. Be their advocate. Schedule their back-to-school physicals today at SIU Center for Family Medicine. Call 217-735-2317 now or click their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, Henry Kraft, U of I Extension, our guest in studio today. So, Henry, we talk about your path into a classroom in Central Illinois, in DeWitt, Macon, Piatt counties, and how those teachers get connected to you and where you can turn for enhancing what they do in the classroom. So, once you're in with that teacher and you understand what they need, you talked about writing up programs. What are some of the things you've done, and what are you working on right now?
Yeah. So, I mean, a great example of that is this summer we worked with Blue Ridge School District to come in and provide some programs for their summer school. Mm-hmm. And so what I was able to do was sit down and write 2 different programs for, I think there were 40 kids this summer for their summer school program, and ranging from kindergarten to 6th grade. And so I wrote 2 programs, one on basically it's called kitchen chemistry. And so we get to take food items from the kitchen and show scientific properties in them with the kids. And so, like, for example, did you know cinnamon is hydrophobic? So
what does that mean?
It's afraid of water.
Oh.
And so when you put enough cinnamon on the top layer of water, you can actually stick your finger in it and bring it out dry.
No way.
Yeah. So
that's cool.
It's so little experiments like that teach scientific concepts. So that's kitchen chemistry. So we also did a surface tension exercise where we put food coloring, drops of food coloring in a mixture of milk and oil. And so when you touch it with dish soap, touch that food coloring, it actually explodes. And so it makes all sorts of different colors and explosions, and that kids loved it. And so with all of that, they're learning science concepts, chemistry concepts, but they don't really identify it as learning. It's kind of like that sneaky learning.
Yeah.
And I like to encourage kids to have fun while they're learning.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
There's another program. Part of my background is I lived overseas with my family in Indonesia for quite some time a few years back, and I love culture. I studied intercultural studies in college, and one of the first programs that I wrote is called What's for Lunch. And so this is really a global awareness program where we really show kids the globe. So a lot of times kids are getting maybe a unit of world geography, but they're not really experiencing world geography. So one of the things that we did was I based it around a book called What's for Lunch, where we get to study what other countries are having for school lunch. And we kind of bring it home and compare it to what kids locally are having for lunch. And so they get to identify where these countries are on a map. And then they also get to see and feel artifacts from those countries that I bring in from my personal supply. So cool. A fur hat from Uzbekistan, or a singing bowl from Thailand, and they get to play it and feel it. So it's that hands-on, tangible stuff that we get to go in and do that really makes 4-H 4-H.
Tell me about the social emotional learning component in the program you're developing for that.
Yeah, so I am in process of writing a program called Meeple Mayhem. We've been meeting on Thursday nights in DeWitt County the first Thursday night, and then we meet in Payette and Macon as well. And this is a program geared around tabletop board games. So right now, post-COVID, with the iPad phenomenon, kids are often on their electronic devices almost 24/7. And so one of the things that we've found from a psychological perspective is that kids aren't really engaging well with adults or peers. And so we in Meeple Mayhem is what it's called, this tabletop board gaming program, are trying to teach kids how to interact with their peers better. And so social emotional learning is what it's called, is SEL, is for short. And so kids get to play games against each other, have fun, compete, but then also learn how to not be a sore winner or a sore loser. And so as they're learning, the true science-based thing of Meeple Mayhem is to learn game theory, so probabilities, pattern recognition, things like that. But all the while, there's an undercurrent of, we want you to learn how to engage with your peers and adults in a productive way, because these kids are going to go into the workforce. We kind of owe it to ourselves in the future to train them how to not throw a fit, how to win graciously, things like that we had to learn as we grow up. So.
What did that stem from? Where did that need come from that you noticed?
Yeah, so I have 3 children myself, all under the age of 14. So I've got a 13-year-old, I've got a 10-year-old, and I've got a 7-year-old. And just in my interactions in the schools, seeing them interact with their peers, I was like, yeah, we could probably use some training in how to be not a sore loser. And so seeing kids interact and our natural love for board games. And so it's kind of a niche market. It's not like the game of life or Risk. There are games out there that are very modern and current, and kids enjoy once they get into it and realize that it doesn't have to be Roblox. You know what I mean? You know? Yeah. If it's not, it doesn't have to be Roblox. They can have a lot of fun in a kind of a manual kind of play.
Yeah. So my kids have gotten into the like Mario Kart, those types of games, and gosh, the inability to deal with not winning is astounding. But those are good lessons too, for sure. Henry, so anything else you're working on in terms of programs in schools in Macon, DeWitt, Piatt counties?
Yeah, so focusing a lot, like I said, on Food Challenge right now, working with FCS teachers.
You said your Clinton program had a lot of success?
Hey, we did. I'm glad you brought that back up. So Clinton High School last year went to state and took home the gold. And so that means that end of September, we've got a team from Clinton High School that is going to be going to Dallas to compete at the National 4-H Food Challenge.
That's awesome. So what will that look like for them? What do those challenges look like?
Yeah, so what will happen is there's a team of there was a team of 4. The other fellows playing football now, so we had to bow out. But they are going to go to Dallas. They're going to take their own kit of equipment, and they're going to face off against, I think it was 14 other teams from across the nation, and they're going to be supplied a pantry of items and a couple mystery ingredients, just like the show Chopped on Food Network, and they're going to have to cook a dish from scratch. And then part of that program is really synthesizing what their knowledge is about nutrition, utilizing My Plate, and then also their presentation of the dish that they created, and also their cooking skills. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Henry, again, how do folks get a hold of you to talk about programs you're developing or developing a program for a classroom?
Yeah. So you can reach out to myself personally at hcraft, CRAF as in Frank, T as in Tom, at illinois.edu, or you can go to our website, extension.illinois.edu/DMP.
Henry, thanks for coming out today. Stop back in sometime. We'll love to hear more about what you're doing.
Thanks so much for having me, Seth.
Absolutely. Henry Kraft, again, U of I Extension, our guest in studio. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Network news on the way.
WHOW.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason. Abortion, one of the issues that came up in last night's presidential debate. Former President Trump attacking Kamala Harris's running mate, Tim Walz, as an extremist on the issue. Harris went after Mr. Trump for sending the abortion question back to the states to decide. And each candidate claimed the upper hand when it comes to foreign policy. Solemn ceremonies taking place today, marking the 23rd anniversary of the 9/11 terror attacks. The names of the close to 3,000 victims being read aloud today at Ground Zero in Lower Manhattan. Louisiana's Gulf Coast is preparing for the arrival of Hurricane Francine, the potentially deadly storm surge along with destructive winds. Landfall expected this afternoon or this evening. Sell-off intensifying on Wall Street. The Dow now down 720 points. The Nasdaq is off 150. More details at srnnews.com.
This is staff meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio forecast. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Today, with daytime highs approaching 86. Southeast winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 57. Tonight, partly cloudy skies. High temperatures reach up to 85. Tomorrow, cloudy skies expected. Hear weather twice an hour or online anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com. Currently, it's 65 degrees.
flames shooting out of the north side of number 1 World Trade Center.
The World Trade Center, tower number 1 is on fire. The whole outside of the building, there was just a huge explosion.
The devastation that is before us now is unbelievable in terms of an entire World Trade Tower collapsing. There's nothing left of this thing.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Inform all units going into the box. It could be a terrorist attack. We have a number of floors on fire. It looked like the plane was aiming towards the building.
I saw the plane hit the building. I can't say anything.
I'm gonna die, aren't I? No. I'm gonna die. Ma'am, say your prayers. And we're gonna think positive because you gotta help each other get off the floor. Now, stay calm. You're doing a good job, ma'am. You're doing a good job. It's so hot.
People jumping off the buildings. They were running out in the streets, getting hit by cars. It was just ugly. It was just terrible.
Help! Which way should we go?
To try to get as many people out as possible with the hope that there are still people that are alive.
You have an uncle who works in Tower 2, and we're not sure where he is. And I also have a few friends who work on the top floors of Tower 1.
A second airplane, a 727, just ran into the building.
I've never seen anything like it.
There's no justification for this happening. None.
A scene of utter devastation before my eyes. The second World Trade Center tower demolishing. People screaming in the streets here in utter disbelief, clutching their heads, plenty of tears. People cannot believe that this has come down.
The World Trade Center, both towers are now gone.
Make no mistake, the United States will hunt down and punish those responsible for these cowardly acts. They run to the hills. They find holes to get in, and we will do whatever it takes to smoke them out and get them running, and we'll get them.
It was a nightmare. Couldn't see. Everything was totally black. We were just walking, hoping to find daylight. It was just unbelievable. I never seen anything like it in my life.
The nation stands with the good people of New York City and New Jersey and Connecticut as we mourn the loss of thousands of our citizens.
Here's CEO Paul Skowron from Warner Hospital and Health Services in Clinton on their expanded state-of-the-art emergency room.
The ambulance service now identifies that we can service more patients, so volume is increasing. People that have to come to the emergency room are given constant compliments on the larger waiting area and the fact that they can now see what's going on in the emergency room.
This emergency room expansion means big hospital tech, small hospital caring. Warner Hospital and Health Services expanded emergency room in Clinton.
Corn rootworm is a ruthless pest, which is why Bayer is relentless in its innovation. SmartStax Pro with RNAi technology is here. With an RNAi-based mode of action unlike anything that's come before, plus 2 proven BT traits, it's innovation that equals the strongest biotech defense in medium to high corn rootworm pressure environments from Bayer. Talk to your seed dealer about defending like a pro with SmartStax Pro technology. Read and follow pesticide label directions, IRM, grain marketing, and other stewardship practices. Copyright 2024 Bayer Group. All rights reserved.
Hi, this is Dr. Sue Stur at Covenant Animal Clinic, your hometown vet in Clinton. Now is the time to protect your pet from heartworm disease. We are now offering ProHeart 6, which protects your pet for 6 months with one simple injection. Get all the details by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Whether it's damage from a fire or Illinois storms, ServPro of Piatt DeWitt counties will make it like it never even happened. Find out how they can help you by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is Seth Lawrence, News and Program Director for WHOW and WEZC. We take pride in being Clinton and Central Illinois' local radio stations each and every day, 7 days a week. What does local news mean? Here's a sample.
So really making sure that we are informed of what may be coming to our classroom, how they're performing, and then how do we help meet that need.
They paved that entire addition of Somerset Lane. We just extended that. They got it all done in one day.
Yeah, I was a little bit somewhat shocked at the approach that they took. You know, I think they basically said, yeah, we haven't done things well. We want to start over.
You hear the local people that make the news every day, 7 days a week on the big 1520 AM, 92.3 FM, and 106.5 FM WHOW, and on the station playing America's best music, 95.9 FM WEZC. You're listening to a best of segment of the WHOW Morning Show, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, this is a best of the WHOW Morning Show.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest on the phone this morning, Monica Nyman with the St. Louis District Area Council. Good morning, Monica. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm doing well, enjoying this beautiful weather today.
I know. Yeah, we turned the page to September, and gosh, it really felt like September as we made the transition. So we'll see if it keeps up for sure. It's a fun time of year, no doubt. And Monica, as we catch up here for this morning, I know that the topic today is going to be teens and their nutrition. So what do we know about teens? I mean, obviously, we were all teenagers at one point, so we understand, that we ate a lot when we were younger, and probably the foods we ate then did not impact us as much as maybe some things we do now. So what do we know about teens and their habits and their nutrition?
Well, first of all, I just want to start this interview by saying that if you have teenagers, especially boys like myself, every day we're just going to try to do the best that we can with this age group. They're a little bit challenging. One thing that we know is that their nutrition is probably not on par, and there's a lot of different reasons for that, but we know that teenagers are not getting enough of many of the food groups that they need, including the dairy food group, whole grains, getting that fiber in, and they're probably not eating as many fruits and vegetables as they should be. The school year has started. Some of the teenagers out there are skipping breakfast. So if that's one thing that you can do to help your teen, it's to get that meal in, because they need that nutrition. And it's important for energy. It's important for focus as they start their days in school. And then if your teenagers are athletes, they actually even need more calories in order to perform their sport. They're burning a lot of calories at practices. So really making sure that they're getting good nutrition is going to help support their muscle and their bone development. So I know they're a hard audience. I have two teenagers at home that are both athletes. I'm also a registered dietitian, and I still have challenges. The reasons for that is because they're independent. They're making a lot of their own food choices.
So breakfast is the number one, then make sure they get that. And, you talked about the struggle, to get kids to eat breakfast, especially with the independence you're talking about. Probably they're waking up at the last minute to get to school just at the, right before the bell rings type of a thing. How do you make sure that your teenager is making time for breakfast, Monica? Any advice there, since you do have two teenagers running around your house these days?
Yeah, so a couple of things that we do at our house. Number one is just communication. We talk about, hey, you have to eat breakfast. I don't care if it's a package of, breakfast bars and a string cheese on the way out the door, but you have to have something to be able to focus. With high school, their lunch periods kind of vary. So sometimes their schedule will allow for an early lunch, but sometimes they're not eating until maybe 12:30 or 1 o'clock. So just be kind of mindful of that. My boys always pack snacks in their backpack, so I always make sure that we have a variety of things for them to choose from in the morning. But at our house, my kids too, they get up at the very last minute, but they know that I know how important breakfast is. And again, we've talked about that. So whether it's toast, a bowl of cereal, I make hard-boiled eggs just in the refrigerator. They can kind of grab that. Yogurt cups, just anything convenient, anything fast where they're not having to spend a lot of time preparing is going to really set them up to be able to have breakfast before they leave the house.
There you go. So some good encouragement there for sure. Monica, let's talk a little bit about new teens and the nutritional gaps. What do we know about this?
So When I was talking about the different types of food groups that teenagers aren't getting, the whole grains, the fruits and vegetables, the dairy foods, a lot of that is parent driven. So if you're shopping at the grocery store, making sure that those foods are at your house. So having teenagers, and I kind of mentioned this before, they're independent, they're going out to eat a lot, they're eating snacks with their friends, and so they're making choices on their own. But when you have food at home, trying to make sure that you're meeting those nutritional requirements, having stuff out on the counter, fresh fruits and vegetables, preparing that with your meals, having dairy in the refrigerator. And so today I wanted to talk a little bit about yogurt, just as sort of one food item that is really going to help getting their nutrition in. So yogurt, it's an excellent source of protein. It has all 9 essential amino acids. 1 cup of regular yogurt is going to give them about 8 to 14 grams of protein, but Greek yogurt is going to give them around 20 grams of protein in 1 cup. So just make sure you look at the labels. The reason I'm throwing those numbers out is because we really recommend those teenagers getting about 20 to 30 grams of protein per meal in order to get their nutrition in, to promote a sense of fullness, if they're an athlete, to support that muscle repair and growth. And so when we talked earlier about skipping breakfast, that's a whole meal that they're not getting protein. And so it's really important to make sure that they're not skipping meals, but also choosing foods that are kind of going to give them more bang for their buck. Mm-hmm. So yogurt's also fermented. If you're not picking healthy foods, you might have some digestive issues. So it has healthy bacteria that's going to help support the gut and digestion. It also has the whole slew of nutrients because it's made from milk. So it's giving them all of those different things that milk provides, just sort of in a different form. So I found that my kids really like, when they're busy and kind of on the go, they like the individual cups. But if they're home on the weekend, I get the larger containers. They'll put berries on it. They'll put granola on it. It's just a really great snack for them. It kind of helps fill them up, but it's also giving them lots of nutrition.
Yeah, for sure. And again, Monica Nyman, St. Louis District Dairy Council, on the phone with us here for this morning. Monica, the dairy case, gosh, there's, and not just yogurt. I mean, boy, you look in any section, there's so many offerings of so many things. Speak to yogurt, and just what we'll find in the dairy case and how we know what's best for us there. How about that?
Sure. So one thing I just want to mention with the dairy case, and specifically the yogurt section, is if you haven't purchased yogurt in a little while, maybe you found one that you didn't really like and you haven't gone back to that section, try different kinds, try different brands, because they actually all kind of have a little bit of a different taste and texture. In general, though, regular yogurt is a little bit creamier and kind of fuller. And the texture of Greek yogurt is very thick and dense. And that's because they drain all of the liquid off of that regular yogurt. And so it's concentrated, and that's why it has a lot more protein in it. So just kind of check it out. Look for the live and active strains on the label. You won't be able to pronounce any of them, but that tells you that it has healthy bacteria in there. And again, it's giving you calcium, it's giving you protein. It's great for meals and for snacks. There's lots of different options. I actually just recently purchased the yogurt, and my husband said, hey, I'd like to really have a little bit more protein in the yogurt that you're getting. So could you look for a different brand? And so the next time I went to the store, I bought a different kind, and it had, probably about 8 additional grams of protein, and it was a Greek yogurt. And I said, hey, did you like that one? I found that one. It was vanilla. And he said, oh, yeah, I really did like that one. So I'll probably keep purchasing that one for him. And then, my kids kind of have their favorite flavors. And that's the thing about yogurt. You can get it in lots of different flavors. So just kind of try it out and try to find something new.
Monica, I think of the dairy case, and I think of all the options, and they're starting to throw kind of the candies into the yogurt, like the crunched up, whether it's cookies or the whatever type of snack you can put in there. If your kids are drawn to that, probably like mine would be if I was to actually take them to the grocery store. I'm not going to do that because they would be distracted by everything. But if your kids are drawn to those, are those a good option? What do you make of those?
I'm really not a fan. A little bit of that is marketing, because they're putting a name brand candy, or they're putting a character from a TV show, kind of drawing kids into that product. But anytime you put candy in something, the nutritional value of that is going to go down. So if your kids aren't eating yogurt right now, and you're kind of like, oh, I'm listening, and Monica from the Dairy Council said yogurt is a great option, I wouldn't recommend purchasing those, because the actual yogurt part of that package is probably fine. But when you put candy on top of it, you're adding just a bunch of sugar. It has no nutritional value. So just get a basic flavor. You can at home, you can add cereal to it. You can add berries to it, even some low sugar granola. Look for other options besides candy. But that's a really great question. And I think just within every package at the grocery store, there's always going to be something that's going to be a little bit better for you. That's why you need to turn around that label. And I always look at added sugar, like the amount of sugar they're adding to that product. And you're going to find some that are really low, and you're going to find some that are really high.
Very good. Well, Monica, I tell you what, I look at the clock. We could use a timeout before we kind of dive into more about yogurt. We'll talk about its versatility and all the things we can do with it on the other side of a break. But first, how do folks learn more about the St. Louis District Dairy Council? And can they find information at your website or social media platforms about yogurt and their benefits to teens and the ways we can incorporate those? How about that?
Yeah, so everything that I'm talking about today, you can find on our website, including the recipe that we'll talk about after the break. And our website is stldairycouncil.org. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And our handle is STL Dairy Council.
That is Monica Nyman, St. Louis District Dairy Council, our guest on the phone for this morning. More to come with Monica on the morning show.
WHOW 2024.
Let's check the markets now. The RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Steady trade at this hour with corn, beans, and Chicago wheat. September corn is down a penny, 378.5. December corn down 3/4, 403.5. March corn 422, down 1 1/4. November beans down 1/4, 9.97. January beans up 1/4, 10.15.5. March beans 10.30 1/4. Up 1/4. September wheat unchanged, 558 3/4. December wheat up 3, 577 1/4. March wheat up 2 3/4, 596 1/4. October bean meal 312.70. That's down 60 cents. October bean oil down 15 cents, 40.14. Livestock market. September feeders 238.72, up 1/4. October live cattle down 2 cents, 176.30. October lean hogs 78.80, up 1/4. Energy market. October crude oil 66.41, up 66 cents. I'm Jim Taylor.
Whether you're getting a little older or just wanting to focus on your health a little more, you need the advantages of a primary care physician from Memorial Care. From detecting long-term illness to planning long-term wellness, our physicians are with you every step of the way. Make today the day you start thinking about tomorrow's health. Make an appointment and begin having regular checkups. Physicians in the Lincoln area are currently accepting new patients. Visit memorial.health for more information.
As a nonprofit thrift store, Love It Once More in Clinton relies on your donations to help us help others. So right now, if you bring us a donation, we'll give you a card good for 10% off your purchase. So bring us a donation where it stays local to help local. See us on Facebook, Instagram, and DeWittDailyNews.com.
Hi, this is Ryan Utterback with Utterback Real Estate. Do you know what time it is?
It's time for apple pie, pork sandwiches, and river wrap potatoes.
You're right. It's time for the Apple and Pork Festival. And that's why you're the other Ryan.
And for real estate, visit their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. Hear Clinton Maroon live play-by-play this season on WHOW, the Big 1520 Daytime, 92.3 FM in DeWitt County and 106.5 in Bloomington Normal all the time. Plus streamed at DeWittDailyNews.com on the WHOW mobile app and Amazon Alexa. Plus, hear a best of Clinton sports broadcast Saturday mornings at 10, all brought to you by Warner Hospital and Health Services, Vaughn Chevrolet Buick, Love It Once More Thrift Store, and Mid-State Eye.
DeWitt County's #1 source for news, obits, police blotter, and Clinton sports is DeWittDailyNews.com. You're listening to a best of segment of the WHOW Morning Show, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, this is a best of the WHOW Morning Show.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, Monica Nyman, St. Louis District Dairy Council, our guest on the phone here for this morning. And Monica, we talk about yogurt in that last segment, and what a great option it can be for kids and their nutrition and getting, the protein that they need. Kids need a lot of protein. You were talking about how much protein a kid needs in a meal of, just one meal. It's a lot. That's a lot of protein for them to consume. So let's talk. We were talking about yogurt. Let's get into its versatility, its uses, how we can incorporate it in meals. What do you have for us? What do we know?
Sure. So, yogurt is definitely very versatile, and it complements all other types of foods. You can pair it with, fruits and vegetables and whole grains, all different types of things. So I just wanted to give listeners some examples today of things that you might not be thinking of when it comes to serving yogurt. So first of all, you can serve a yogurt parfait. That can be something that you can make ahead of time that your kids can just grab out of the refrigerator. So, have yogurt, layer that with maybe some mixed nuts and berries, even a little bit of granola. And so kind of that combination gives them lots of important nutrients by sort of layering all of those different food groups. And so when I talk about savory things with yogurt, I basically mean plain yogurt, because you can add a lot of flavor to plain yogurt and sort of change the taste of it. So, you can make a dip using that plain yogurt as a base. You can put, a little bit of low sodium taco seasoning in it. You can put ranch powder, maybe Italian seasoning, and those are all great ways to make a dip that you can serve with vegetables. A lot of times kids don't like to eat vegetables unless they have maybe cheese on them, or maybe a dip that has a yogurt base to it. Another thing that you can use plain yogurt for is anywhere that you would really use sour cream. And so I like to put it on baked potatoes, or even our taco dinners that we have at night. We usually have tacos about once every 2 weeks or something like that. And my older son, he loves sour cream, and he puts a ton of sour cream on his tacos. But if I provide him with plain Greek yogurt, that's giving him lots of nutrition versus just the calories that maybe just in sour cream. So you can use that sort of as a swap in many of the different foods that you're eating. So when I was mentioning sort of the sweet or different options like that, you can take plain yogurt and you can put a little bit of honey, maybe a little bit of cinnamon and a little bit of brown sugar, and kind of make your own fruit dip. Serve that with grapes or apple slices, and that's just another way to get your kids to eat those fresh fruits by serving them a dip that sort of pairs with that.
Sure. Now, do you find your kids know the difference between that Greek yogurt you're giving them or the sour cream or that substitute, basically? Do you find your kids notice, and do they mind that much? I mean, probably a lot of kids would be a little picky about those things. How about that?
Yeah, even for myself, when I use plain Greek yogurt instead of sour cream, I don't even notice the difference, because it still has the same consistency. Just make sure you stir it up really good. It has the same flavor. It's kind of that sour taste, which is why a lot of people don't like to eat plain Greek yogurt by itself. It is very sour. You have to add something to it to sort of be able to have that. My kids don't notice the difference at all, but also keep in mind, I mentioned my kids are in high school, and so one of them, the older one in particular, he is a little bit more interested in nutrition. So he knows that Greek yogurt has protein in it. He reaches for that for snacks and for lunches. And so for him, he knows that he's just adding some high quality protein to his baked potato or his tacos when he puts that on there. But I would challenge listeners to try it, because you're probably not going to notice the difference.
Monica Nyman, St. Louis District Dairy Council, is our guest on the phone for this morning. So, Monica, you talk about versatility of Greek yogurt. What else can we do with it?
Well, I wanted to mention a recipe that we have this month, and it's called a Greek yogurt pizza dough. And so I love pizza. It's probably one of my favorite foods. And I do make a lot of homemade pizza doughs at home, because we like to try a lot of different kinds, whether it's Chicago style, Detroit style, thin crust, cornmeal crust. I mean, we've tried all different kinds of pizza doughs. And I will tell you, this is the easiest pizza dough that I've ever made. And the reason for that is because it doesn't have to rise. Okay, you don't have the step of waiting for it to rise because you're not using yeast in this recipe. So it's made from some common pantry staples. It's ready actually in a couple minutes once you just stir it together. It uses self-rising flour instead of yeast, okay? And because of this, the dough doesn't need the extra time to rise. So once you've mixed it, I just put it in my KitchenAid. That makes it super easy with the dough hook on it. It's ready to bake right after you mix it together. So that makes it a super easy recipe for really any weeknight.
So what are we doing here?
Yeah, so it has Greek yogurt in it. So this recipe is on our website, but I just want to mention a couple things about it. It has 2 cups of self-rising flour and 1 cup of Greek yogurt, plain. And then I added about a tablespoon of water just to get it a little bit looser, the dough. And if you make pizza dough at home, you kind of know what I'm talking about. Now, the recipe also calls for a tablespoon of non-fat dry milk powder. I did not have that at home, and I didn't want to purchase a whole box of that for 1 tablespoon. And so I just left that out, and I didn't notice any difference, okay? So it literally has 3 ingredients, the self-rising flour, the Greek yogurt, and a teeny bit of water. I mixed that together right away. It was ready to spread out on my pizza pan. I actually made a double batch because, again, I have high school boys that eat a lot of food, and so I made 2 really large pizzas. We all have our favorite toppings. You can put whatever toppings you want. I put fresh shredded mozzarella cheese on top of it, and then you just bake it in the oven for about 12 minutes or so. So it's a very pillowy pizza crust. Very easy to make, only a couple of ingredients. The self-rising flour was probably the one thing that you might have to purchase at the grocery store. But again, you can make this pizza dough every single week if you want to for your family and just modify the different toppings.
Interesting stuff. So again, Monica, you mentioned the recipe is at the website. Where do folks go to find that?
Sure. So the recipe for this month's information is called a Greek yogurt pizza dough. Again, it's available on our website, which is stldairycouncil.org.
Very good. And I know you're on social media, Monica. How do folks find you there?
Sure. Facebook and Instagram. You'll find pictures of our
Online all the time at DeWittDailyNews.com.
WHOW.
The Big 1520 WHOW Clinton, 92.3 FM W222 BG Clinton, 106.5 FM W293 DJ Normal Bloomington.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. It has become an annual tradition on this day at Ground Zero in New York.
Eric A. Cranford. Denise Elizabeth Krant.
The names of the victims of the 9/11 terror attacks read aloud on the anniversary of the attacks that killed almost 3,000 people at the World Trade Center.
The Biden-Harris administration of botching the U.S. military withdrawal from Afghanistan.
These people did the worst withdrawal.
But Harris faulted Trump for his dealings with the Taliban.
The president at the time invited the Taliban to Camp David.
And each made a case for being the next commander-in-chief.
I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace.
We had no problems when Trump was president.
Greg Clugston at the presidential debate in Philadelphia.
Several massive wildfires still burning amid a searing Southern California heat wave. Evacuations have been expanded. Watching Wall Street, stocks deep in the red this morning. The Dow down 649 points. The NASDAQ is off 209 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group, and I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney, and the truth is I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your timeshare exit info kit. 800-838-8822. That's 800-838-8822. 800-838-8822.
Three-way talks are underway in Kiev over Western support for Ukraine.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken and British Foreign Secretary David Lammy board a train at the Poland-Ukrainian border, the overland route to Kyiv. The joint visit to talk with President Volodymyr Zelensky and senior Ukrainian officials comes as Kyiv presses the West to allow it to use long-range missiles against Russia. The US consulate in Poland said the meeting will include discussions on continued support for Ukraine's defense against Russian aggression and how to ensure Ukraine can thrive militarily, economically and democratically in the long term. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
The British government unveiling details of a new support package for workers who face losing their jobs at the country's biggest steel plant ahead of its transition to a greener way of doing business. The government to offer improved severance terms as well as a re-skilling package if the workers so choose. News and analysis, townhall.com. Alabama Senator holding up the promotion of a top aide to Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin.
Senator Tuberville has blocked the promotion of Lieutenant General Ronald P. Clark because of his role in failing to announce Austin's absence